It's a Monday morning. Well, Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. Yeah, on a Monday. You know how I feel about Monday mornings, but it's good to be back after being away for quite a while. It's good to be back there. Mikhail Tinubu, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to have you on the show.
I'm glad to
And
be
thank
here.
you for having my back.
No problem.
Yes,
It was a
Mikhail's
pleasure.
he's always got my back. And I also have Stanley Ikawu on the phone with me this morning. Good morning, Stanley.
Yeah, good morning, Lagos, good morning, Nigeria.
Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, good to be here too.
Let me go straight to the topic for this morning. Now, plans have been concluded by the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development to set up electoral committees for elections into the boards of the recently dissolved sports federations. Now, the ministry on April 30th dissolved the boards of 30 national sports federations following the expiration of their tenures. A director in the ministry, Dr. Simeon Ebojaye, said in order to avoid a vacuum in running the affairs of the federations, the ministry swiftly constituted a 3-man caretaker committee for each to hold forth before the elections that will take place in September 2021. As part of the effort to organize concise and credible elections that will stand the test of time, the ministry has concluded arrangements to set up electoral committees which will conduct the federation's elections in September 2021. Stanley, I'll start with you. Now, first of all, the federations were dissolved. The thing caused a major gbege amongst the presidents of the federations. Now, they said, the minister said, listen, I'm not going to change my mind. It remains dissolved. Now, he says the committees, caretaker, will take care of them till September. When the elections take place, he has formed a caretaker committee. Is this how things should be done? Should the minister have so much power to dissolve the federations, despite their tenures have expired?
Now, once again, good morning, Lagos, good morning, Nigeria. I think we need to first understand one thing. Interference of government in sports has been a no across different federations in the world. I'll give you an instance. The Decree 101 by the then NFA that became an act in 2004 almost ruined our chances of making different international mundials. Now, what do I mean? The Rugby Federation recently, by virtue of the minister interfering in the federations, were banned. Now, what does this mean? It's very, very clear. Sport and politics don't go pari passu. Now, when governments interfere in sport, it's a no by the international organization. But then in Nigeria, government funds sports. And by so doing, they feel they are at liberty, they've got the power to take decisions, dissolve, and whatever it is they feel they can do as far as interference in sport is concerned. Now, the point is this. The only way these federations can be independent from the government is by ensuring that they fund and foot their bills themselves. As long as the government keeps funding all the federations, while the government would always have the power to dissolve and take decisions as far as the federations are concerned.
I'll come back to you, Stanley, on this one. Now, Mikhail, obviously, for some reason, I think you read Stanley's mind or Stanley read your mind. And you don't even know each other, but you read each other somehow. You said this before the show began and said, government interference again. And we have gotten into trouble too many times with this, and here we are again.
I think FIFA threatened to ban us the last time.
Yeah, they've threatened to ban us like every time, like many times.
The thing is, he's absolutely right. For independence purposes, the organization of sport activities is supposed to generate money. That money, that fund, is supposed to go into funding the FA, funding the sports programs perpetually. But if government continues to interfere, and there was one quote I think I gave to you before this show, no act is absent or is carried out in a vacuum absent from politics. Every action is a political act on this planet. And in Nigeria, so very much so.
It's worse here.
It's very worse here. Because Every time an act is done in politics by politicians, by appointed officers of state, every intention behind it has a political repercussion at the end of it. So we can't stray away from it. And no matter how much they tell us that this is for the betterment of the institution, that we will benefit from it, how do we know? How should we take them at their word? The only thing we
must always be scared of some skeleton somewhere.
Skeptic.
Okay, let me come to Stanley on this one. Stanley, this is where I'm going to try and break you guys, two of you and your cooperation this morning. Let me try and break you this morning. Now, the sports minister, as times immemorial, said that, listen, I don't see what some federations are doing. I can count a few who are doing the right things, but some don't do anything. And he gave example with sports like swimming. He says, how many of these federations have regular meets? How many of them get ready during the year to get ready for any competition that comes up? Some don't do anything. I stand by him when he says swimming. The federation gets money for doing practically nothing. Don't quote me, please. For doing nothing. So if the man says, listen, some of you guys don't do anything, you have not impressed me, you guys should go. He has a point too, doesn't he?
No, absolutely. I think he has a point. But then, for every year, the sports ministry sends its budget to the federations or to the federal government. Now, you and I know that football, the Super Eagles, get more or most of the money. Now, it has left some of these other federations begging for money. Now, what do I mean? You submit a budget as a swimming federation president. When the money comes out of the federal government purse, what gets to this federation is minimal compared to what the football federation gets. And you don't expect a federation to work optimally, to give their best, when you know they are not well funded. And that still boils down to the fact that if these guys are left to be self-independent, let them fund and source for money themselves. But then, how would they do that? Create an enabling environment. Now, look at what the Table Tennis Federation is doing. At the Molade Okoya Indoor Sports Hall, there's always an international table tennis competition. What would take the federal government to create like 10 swimming pools across country? And let the federation organize international competitions on this pools. Now, if you're saying these guys are not doing anything, have you done anything? Have you placed anything on ground that would make them work effectively?
Okay, now let me come to you on this one. Now, people are advising the federation presidents to run to their international bodies and say, guys, they are working on this. But the question is, you guys still rely too much on the government, and you want to now run to the international community now that you're in trouble with the government. You want to get them in trouble now and then run back to them when everything is settled. It doesn't work like that.
Well, I have to wonder, how much leeway do they have? Because sporting activities require funding. Most organizations like these in the outside of the country set up relationships with private sector companies. They create sponsorship opportunities for teams, for activities, and at the end of the day, the money flows back into the organization.
Yeah.
Now, the instruments, that is the laws, the rules, regulations of these federations, is supposed to check the excesses of the members of the organizations, of the federations. And when they go out, if they are allowed to negotiate on their own merits.
They do.
Independently.
Yes, they are allowed, yeah.
But then, do they give account to the government? The fact that there is so little independence, the fact that everything they do has to be accountable to the government, and the government, irregardless of what rules
let me just
place.
quickly wrap this up so I won't have to stay on this for too long. Let me finish with you, Stanley, on this one. Quickly, Stanley, for one, I remember that every time there's a problem with needing money by the NFF, then they become the NFA overnight, go to the government, play nice, get what they want, and go and execute their matches. But whenever there's a problem and the government says, come, you are answerable to this amount of money, come. they automatically become the NFF, a football federation, and say we're not answerable to you, we're a federation. I have seen them change names overnight more than 10 times. They are NFA tonight, and then tomorrow morning there's a problem, NFF instantly. And our guests want to do that now here. They want to actually run to these international communities now because there's trouble, but when they need money, they run to the governments. Quickly on this one.
Well, you see, the truth is this. The NSA or NFF, whatever they call themselves, cannot keep deceiving themselves. If you're going to the government, cap in hand, let me use the word begging for funds, because you know internally you've not done your job to generate money. Wale, there was a deal the NFF signed with Nike, our kid sponsor. But till today, you and I don't know about you, but I, Stanley Ikawu, I don't know the number of years the contract between Nike and the NFF would elapse.
Okay.
That's one. Secondly, let me quickly wrap this up by saying the sports ministry, as long as they keep funding the federation, they've got powers to take decisions on the NFF. Okay. The only way the NFF can be independent, just like I've always said, is by ensuring that when it comes to money issues, don't run to the federal government. Stay on your own. Run your thing. Now, when the federal government comes to take decisions, you tell them, we've not been collecting money from you. So you have a say, you have a stand. As simple as that.
Okay, let's go to my next discussion this morning. Now, AC Milan pushed Juventus, the old lady, out of the Serie A top 4 with a 3-0 win in Turin on Sunday, which increases their hopes of Champions League football for the first time since 2014. Now, Brahim Diaz put Milan ahead just before the break with Anton Rebic and Fikayo Tomori adding 2 more in the second half after Frank Kessie had missed a penalty. Now, Milan moved up to third, equal on 72 points with second-placed Atalanta, with Napoli a further 2 points behind in fourth, and the final Champions League berth. Juventus are now fifth, 1 point behind the top 4 with 3 games left to play, including next weekend's clash with newly crowned champions Inter Milan. Mikhail, the question is as simple as it comes. The old lady are in trouble. They are in 5th position, 3 matches to go in Italian Serie A. Will Cristiano Ronaldo stay? It's as simple as it comes. Question?
If they don't make it into Champions League, he won't, and I wouldn't want him to. The fact is...
Let me come back to you. Stanley, is it possible to see Cristiano Ronaldo in the Europa?
It's a no for me.
Okay.
Not possible.
Both of you know. Mikhail, he can't just walk away like that. Too much money. Juventus will sell him for like everything any club has got right now. Post-COVID.
I think they will take whatever they can get due to COVID. The fact is, Ronaldo, just by being there, has made them money. Before COVID became the status quo, Ronaldo's presence already gave them share prices, a boost to their share prices. So the fact is, I've said this for a while now, Juventus do not strike me as a European championship team. They may do well in Italian football, but when it comes to taking the next step and competing and being in the same brackets as the likes of Man City, Real Madrid, Barcelona, all of whom are struggling in some way or fashion in Europe, but Juventus do not measure up.
Okay, now Stanley, before we leave this one, Mikhail says, as far as it's concerned, the old lady of Italian football, don't strike him as, in today's football now, don't strike him as an European team compared to Barcelona and the rest of them. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think I want to agree with him 90%. Just like you said, before Cristiano Ronaldo came in, you and I know the amount, the millions of pounds Juventus have been able to rake in. But that actually tripled when Cristiano Ronaldo joined the old ladies of Turin. But now, playing in Europa League, the player in the mode of Cristiano Ronaldo would see himself going a step down, he would see himself going a step downwards if he plays in Europa League. But then, Juventus would want to cash in on their big price asset. at this point in time.
Wow.
It's as simple as that.
Okay, now Mikel Arteta described Arsenal's 3-1 win over West Bromwich Albion as the best way to remedy the pain of their UEFA Europa League semi-final exit on Thursday. Now, Emil Smith-Rowe, Nicolas Pepe, and Willian all contributed excellent goals for Arsenal as they won a league game at home for the first time since March 14th. The final whistle brought an end to West Bromwich Albion's stay in the Premier League, with Sam Allardyce relegated for the first time as a top-flight manager. Next stop for Arsenal is a trip to Champions League finalist Chelsea, a side Mikel Arteta has only ever lost to once since becoming Arsenal's boss.
Yeah, it's always the best way to put remedy to the pain that we had, to win the game, to score the 3 beautiful goals that we done, and created so many more chances. And as well, I think when we conceded the goal, we looked nervy for a period before we got Thomas on the pitch to recover some control. But overall, after not going through to the final, always very important to win the game. No, I think we have a huge responsibility to win every game that we play when we represent this football club. And as well, if anybody can question anything, our level, our ability, whatever it is, they can, but our attitude, that's a non-negotiable one. And right up to the end, we have to try to win our matches and see what happens. That's another motive, and we know that is very important as well. But we can control our results, and at the moment we cannot control theirs. And what we have to do is win our matches. Yeah, he's a kid that has the intelligence to understand different positions. Today we asked him to play in that positions because of how West Brom sets up, and we believe that we could exploit his qualities there. He has still things to learn, obviously, defensively, because it's been a while since he played in that position. But I think he had the right approach to it. That's the first and most important thing. And then his quality defines a lot of moments for him. Let's see how they recover. Again, we've lost so many players in recent weeks, so many big players. They have a huge effect in the team. And it will be great because we have a very difficult game against them.
Speaking for myself, if I was Arteta, Arsenal coach, any media brief, I would wear my face mask, cover half my face at least, to take away the, I don't know. But Stanley, Arteta takes West Brom to relegation. They win 3-1. He says it's a good feeling after they are lost in the Europa. But what next for this team, Arsenal, really?
Well, I think for Mikel Arteta, let me stick with you on what you just said. He's sometimes overwhelmed by some of the questions he's asked pre-match conference and post-match conference. Because when you tell me the game against West Brom was Arsenal's best game, I've seen Arsenal play beautiful football. I've seen them, Smith-Rowe and Odegaard form the partnership in the Arsenal midfield. I think they've been a little bit creative up front. But then when you say West Brom game was the best game, then I think it needs to review some of the team's performance. But then, now they are out of the Europa League. They are mathematically, in fact, they are out of a place in the UEFA Champions League. All they just need to do is ensure they finish maybe 6th or 7th, but which I think at the moment very, very, very looks like very, very dicey and unlikely. Why? Because there's a West Ham, there's an Everton, there's a Tottenham Hotspur crawling their way back, even though they've not been convincing. So I don't think Arsenal can prove anyone beyond reasonable doubt that they can make it to Europe come next season.
Okay, Mukail, history says that Arteta has seldom lost against Chelsea, especially this season. And history could come back. Up next, Chelsea for them, Tuesday or Wednesday. Could history come in again and Arsenal could just take it at least a draw?
Well, it will be a tight game. Both teams, the way Arteta sets up his team is to be compact at the back. He wants to be cautious, and we've seen that throughout the season. Chelsea's defensive structure, everyone commits to defending, but they also pressure, and they pressure from the front. So the question will be, can Arsenal outplay the pressure? Can they get past the first line of pressure and score? Because Arsenal are prone to mistakes. Even the likes of Man City shuddered playing against Chelsea.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes were made, a lot of balls were given away. Turnover was so consistent, and I expect there will be such turnovers in the Arsenal game. They will come up against a Chelsea that is confident, that is strong defensively, that is focused, and every single person in that team is pulling in the same direction. I don't know if they can win, but I definitely don't think, I don't know if they will lose, but I definitely don't think.
It won't be an easy win for Chelsea, though.
Maybe, maybe not.
If Chelsea do win, it won't be an easy win.
We'll see.
7 times world champion Lewis Hamilton said that he's enjoying the battle with Max Verstappen after the Briton won the Spanish Grand Prix for a record equaling 5th year in a row on Sunday and goes 14 points clear at the top. The Briton's 98th victory from his 100th pole was his third in 4 races, and he and Mercedes played the strategy to perfection after Red Bull's Verstappen had muscled into the lead at the first corner. The Briton pitted for fresh tyres and was set the task of closing a 22-second gap to Verstappen in 23 laps at Barcelona's Circuit de Catalunya. Verstappen, who took a crumb of comfort by then pitting for fresh tyres to limit the damage and secure a bonus point for the fastest lap, said he could see it coming. Hamilton's Finnish teammate Valtteri Bottas finished third in a repeat of the podium from last weekend's Portuguese Grand Prix. Alpine driver Spaniard Fernando Alonso finished down in 17th and out of the points despite having started the race 10th on the grid.
I tried to hold 5 or 6 cars behind me for a couple of laps, but it was not enough. And yeah, I rather prefer to risk in a strategy and try to take that point than sit there behind and not scoring. So, you know, we were brave today, maybe too brave, but I think there is some work to do in the race pace and tire management, but happy in general with the weekend.
Of course, you know, I'm not happy to be third. That's how it goes. So, yeah, but again, I tried everything I could, and it just wasn't quite the day today. But I'll keep pushing. I know it will come.
I love it. I mean, honestly, I love it. I'm really enjoying the battle with him. We're learning a lot about one another and each other's cars, I'm sure, and the way we battle. And
Michael Lewis Hamilton, everybody has said he's the greatest, 98 out of 100. Who can beat that? However, everybody says Mercedes are always working on their technology, week in, week out, day in, day out. And it's because of the regular improvements in Mercedes technology. That's why Lewis can always take it away like this.
So are they saying that he's not good enough?
No, he is good. But they're saying that other riders could have done better or as good as he's doing if their teams had or their cars had better technologies.
Maybe the riders in yesteryears would do better today. But that can be said about any sport. The legends are legends because they're untouchable, because of their era. But we cannot live in a world of maybes and what ifs. We're living in this era right now, and Lewis Hamilton is dominating this era and will probably go down as the greatest by anybody's standards.
Okay, now Stanley Ikawu, I want to thank you very much for joining us on the show this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
God bless you guys.
Now, in tennis, Alexander Zverev has won the ATP Madrid Open 2021 with a 6-7, 6-4, 6-3 win over Matthew Berrettini on Sunday. The German had to come from a set down the first time he dropped a set all tournament to win his first clay court title since 2019. Beating Rafael Nadal and Dominic Thiem on the path to the Madrid Open title, the world number 6 underlined his credentials as a real contender for next month's French Open. We're not surprised, really, Mikhail. Why? Because the bookmakers gave it to the king of clay, Rafael Nadal, or Dominic Thiem on clay. And of course, Zverev took both of them out, took Nadal out, took Thiem out. So everybody knew that if he could take the best on clay out, it had to have been you.
Well, those 3 names are right now the 3 strongest names, especially on clay. And I have been very impressed with Zverev for the last couple of years. Every time he has come up against Nadal, the fact that he gets past him has always given you the confidence that he will go all the way.
Yeah.
The level of intensity in his game, the level of focus, his technique, he's strong and he keeps improving. And I don't think this is the last we're going to see of him.
So he's number 6 now. He should be moving up very soon, though.
Yes. I think in the next 2 to 3 years, we might very well see him on number 1.
Zverev. Thank you very much for joining us on the show this morning, Mukail Tinubu.
Happy to be here.
Hope to see you again tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us on the show today, Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa on a Monday morning. My name is Wale Scott. Join us same time, same station tomorrow. Like I always advise you at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your heart, do some sport.